still got it. I 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 still got it. It's a little trash talk with some faith. Old head out of shade. Jordan with the fade away. Steph with the trade. I still got it. 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 I still got it.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
What's happening?
The crew is back once again. I still got it. I'm your man, Pope, P-O-P-E. I'm here with Jarvis Jones and Free Will.
Yes, sir.
So we got another good episode for you guys today. We got a special guest in studio, my man Brian Gebhardt from 92.9 The Game. He's a producer on the Andy and Randy Show,
yes,
co-host of Two Dudes Same Fantasy. He covers the dogs. He's kind of like my go-to guy in media.
Yeah, that Two Dudes Same Fantasy always sounds funny when you hear it. When there's like a new group of people that hear that for the first time. No, super happy to be here. This setup is great in here that you guys got. You guys got the logo on the wall and everything. This is like, we don't have a studio like this to do our own podcast in. So this is
man.
Really cool. I appreciate being here.
Man,
appreciate it, man.
You, man.
Yeah.
So we start every episode with a top 5. And so, like I said, with Brian being in media, we're going to do our top 5 TV personalities, anchors, whether it be news, sports, or what have you. So, Jarvis, let's kick this one off with you, Jay.
Oh man, y'all always catch me.
I always catch you when you ain't ready,
and I ain't got it.
You like the kid in school that be looking away from the teacher.
Be hoping that they ain't gonna pick me.
Please don't look at me,
man. Well, look, since I got to jump it off, then I'm gonna go ahead and cheat.
Okay.
And because I know half of y'all probably gonna have them on your list. Scott Stewart, man.
Stuart Scott.
Stuart Scott.
There you go.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna
Both of them.
I'm not going to have Scott on there. I don't know.
Stuart Scott. I rock with him.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Stephen A, man. I'm standing in that same little vein. I like Stephen A. Let me see who I want. I would pick who you always call me.
Might as well. Skip.
Might as well.
What's the Stephen A? What's your favorite part about Stephen A? Is it First Take Stephen A? Is it him jumping on other shows? Just out of curiosity. Sorry, I just didn't hear. I'm just curious.
That's how we do it.
I like both. You know what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes you get the same Stephen A, but there's a different version when he's like on the pivot or something like that. You get a little bit deeper or reason why he said certain things. So I like that portion as well too.
One of the things that's so amazing about him, even if you like him or if you don't like him or whatever, is the energy that guy brings.
Absolutely.
Every single, I don't know what he drinks or what he eats, what his regimen is or whatever, but he's doing a radio show and this and that and podcast. It's crazy how much that guy, how much he brings it, just everything he does.
Every single time, man.
I mean, he keeps it entertaining. Love him or hate him, he's entertaining.
Exactly.
For sure.
Let's see what else I got. I got I'm gonna say this name, and my reason is because of anyway, Taylor Rooks. And it's because of what Dwayne The Rock Johnson said.
What did he say?
The reason why he said he picked Megan. We ain't got to discuss.
Oh, gotcha.
We ain't got to discuss why I picked him.
Yeah, go look it up. Yeah. I know what he said.
Man, Taylor Rooks gets NBA guys to say stuff that they won't say to anybody else.
Yeah.
Anybody else. Those one-on-ones with Taylor Rooks are like, John Morantz is telling him everything right now, so it's crazy. She's super talented too.
Yeah,
so
she is.
That's a good one on the list there.
And who I got? 3, 4?
You had 3. Unless you putting Skip on there, that make it 4.
I'm gonna put Skip up there.
Yeah, you out Skip.
You
Pot stirrer. Right. Pot stirrer extraordinaire. I don't know if you believe it or not, but he entertained too because you love to hate him. I tell you that much.
It was another one, man. I think his name was Keith something on ESPN.
Keith Olbermann?
Yeah.
Went and did news media and then bounced back, and now he's doing news media stuff again. So
I like him.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Will, what you got?
What I got? You took one of my Stuart Scott Gotta be on.
Yeah, he probably going.
He's just like he's on this automatic list.
He's like the Mount Rushmore.
Stuart Scott was like he was Stephen A. before like Stephen.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he was the early.
Right. He kicked the door open for him for sure.
Right.
I agree.
Who else? Chris Berman.
Nice, good pick.
Yeah.
That's super solid.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta go
Whoop.
with
Like
Chris.
that.
And I don't know. I just want to throw this one in there just to be different. Ron Burgundy.
Okay.
Like and every once in a while he pops up, like he makes appearances, but you gotta have Ron Burgundy.
That's a good one.
I can dig
I
that.
didn't see that one
That's
come.
great.
And then like if I'm watching a game, who do I like? It's a duo, Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. I like
Okay.
them.
Yeah, they got some good banter back and forth there.
Mama, there goes that man.
Yeah. Hand down,
Man,
man.
I just love it.
Yeah.
But for new school, because I'm at 4 now. New school, I like Kendrick. I like Kendrick Perkins.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kendrick, he honest. Yeah.
Carry on.
He shoots it straight, man.
Right.
Absolutely.
Other thing I like about him, as far as being, I know maybe half the people in here are Atlanta fans. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we got a mix.
That's just me.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Just him.
It's just me.
He's like the Hawks defender in the
He
media.
really do.
He's Trey's defender. It's great because that doesn't exist.
They need it nationally.
They need it,
Absolutely.
and he's the guy.
Yep, absolutely.
So I appreciate him doing it.
Absolutely. Brian, what you got?
I cheated because Pope told me about this, so I got a list ready to go. Like Stuart Scott, because that was the example he had sent me. I figured everybody was going to have him on,
Right,
so
right.
I didn't have him. But in no particular order, mine's Charles Barkley. Anytime he's on a mic or any sound bite, I'm going to click on it. I'm
Right.
going to listen.
Right.
Super entertaining. I've also got Elle Duncan.
Nice.
Who used to be on air
Yep,
radio
yep,
here,
yep.
actually.
Right,
So
right.
she's really cool. And
Definitely
just
did.
Another person who kind of just reps Atlanta and Georgia and all that
All
sort of
day,
stuff, which
yeah.
is really cool. SVP, it's my favorite sports center. It's like my favorite thing on ESPN, I'd say, if I'm
Right,
up that
right,
late,
right.
that midnight one.
Yeah.
Dan Patrick, he's my favorite radio host.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting older and a little bit old media, new media, that
Right,
sort of
right.
thing. But he's kind of part of the reason I do the radio thing.
Nice.
I like him a lot, and then that's 4, right? Yeah. And then for me, this is a guy I've actually had a chance to get to know a little bit.
Okay.
Working in Atlanta and doing some college football stuff. Brad Nessler. He's one of
Nice,
the coolest
nice.
guys you'll ever meet.
Okay.
He's awesome. He does a cool job with the SEC on CBS.
Yeah,
You guys don't
absolutely.
know
Yeah.
Who that is? He's a guy you'd want to hang out and have a drink with for sure. So
Cool.
that's the list I got right there.
Nice.
I just want to throw one of mine. I'm gonna take one off. I
Okay.
don't know who I'm gonna take off, but
Yeah, let's say
Skip's gone.
Yeah.
Skip go.
Yeah, because that wasn't real. You just took that because we gave it to you.
I'm gonna tell Skip.
I like. I'm taking Colin Cowherd, man. I like him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it ain't too much of different, but I like him.
I mean, they're in the same vein, but I mean, I respect the pick.
I like his thought patterns. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So I think Stewart, unanimous, obviously. I got Stuart Scott. I got Mike Breen. So
okay. Yeah.
I love the banter between them, but you got to have that guy that just keeps it in the pocket. He allows them to do them and be great, but then he keeps everything. And I guess mine is a little bit more just media. I know you guys have some athletes on there as well, which is cool. Love that they get in this space now as well. But just to be able to let the guys have fun and know the game, do what they do, make their jokes, but then look, hey, the score is this, the time is this, kind of everything that you need to know on top of the entertainment part. In that same vein, I say Ernie Johnson. So you got Charles and Shaq going crazy, Kenny and his jokes. But EJ is the man. He slide his little ribs in there when he can, but then he bring everything back home. Like, hey, listen, guys, that's enough. Let's go to this, boom, boom, boom. But he don't do it in a way that stifles the entertainment or the fun or whatever. Real cool.
So those are like the media point guards. So
They
far,
are.
pretty much. You got the guys running the one.
They are.
All right.
Yeah, basically. So what is that? I got Stewart, Ernie, Breen. I'm gonna go Charles also. Because I think Charles is the funniest man. Like, he's so good at his job, people forget how great he was as a player.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good at the media side that people just completely forget that he's a player. And then Stephen A. Would be I close out with Stephen A. And main reason Stephen A., the energy, and then the fact that, to me, he's kind of the guy for me, like for you, Stewart, Van Pelt.
Or DP, Dan Patrick.
Oh, Dan
as far
Patrick,
as
yeah.
listening.
As far as listening
and
and wanting to kind of do it. So that's how, when I met Brian, I was going through a course for just this sports broadcasting, and Stephen A. was kind of one of like, yo, I'm I might be able to do this. It's this, he does it in a way that's true to him. Whether you agree or disagree, it's true to him. He's appeared to be himself all the time, and he's making some nice money enjoying sports. Enjoying sports. So let's get on into it, man. This episode is about new media versus old media. On everybody's list, we had some guys in the old media, the old traditional kind of. You only get it from one place. You got your ESPNs, your magazines, your newspaper articles and stuff. Until now, where everybody has social media, they have their own podcasts and things of that nature, where the athlete can kind of present their side of the story or their narrative to it. And we're gonna just kind of kick around the pros and cons, what we like, what we don't like about both. How it evolved and has gotten better, how it's made worse in certain ways. So, Brian, we'll start with you. Just compare the two and what your thoughts are on it.
I would say with new media, it's interesting because there's so many different platforms that players or coaches or burner accounts or whatever it is. So people can respond in real time to these stories. Right. The one guy that always comes up with this is Kevin Durant. And it's weird because working in the media, it's entertaining because he's going to engage and do his 2K rating came out the other day, and he was like, I'm a 95 and not a 99. It was within a couple minutes. So the fact that exists now is good in the sense that the athlete can defend himself and that sort of thing. But then it's weird because it's man, I don't know, you're worried about this. It's sort of, and you get into the guy's psyche, but then you realize these guys are so awesome at what they do and so in tune to what they do. And then it's all right, if this is what motivates him, when I still watch, regardless of what you think about Kevin Durant off the floor, on the floor, he's as good as anybody in the league right now. You can, have the argument of him, LeBron, Giannis, or whatever, as far as best player. But far for and taking it, so there's that part of it. So you got the player kind of aspect, which is cool. So I think there's some good and some bad to that. And then taking it in kind of a different direction, old media versus new media for sports. We just talked about some of these lists. A lot of your guys had women on there, black hosts, and that sort of thing, where there was just too many old white dudes doing sports media. And now we've got all sorts of different people from different backgrounds, and that's what sports is. So it's really cool to see that and to see people. And it was because you had a lot of older white guys, and they had a lot of older white guys from the Northeast, and it's sports doesn't exist in this little thing that there's all these different avenues and different ways people grow up and view the game and see the game.
That's why Notre Dame was considered so great.
Yeah, exactly. And then the most winning coach of all time left and came to the SEC.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it's been really cool to see that over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years or so, where you see all these people from all different backgrounds. Now you turn on SportsCenter, it's just all different people. So I've really enjoyed that. So those are kind of the two ways I look at it, where it's there's sort of that player empowerment thing, which is cool to see, but also kind of man, that's weird. Or just some of the things that people, but then you find out what people care about. And the other part about that's been a lot better is just the diversity in this format, podcast, radio, TV, everything has gotten so much better over the years.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I kind of look at it for the last couple of years.
Jarvis, do you think there is a negative thing to a player coming off essentially pulling a Draymond within an hour of the game, coming on and breaking down the game and going into what they did and the game plan and why they knew they was going to win, or the weakness of the other team? Do you think it's getting it that fast sometime from because with the new media, they can just do it in their room?
Yeah, the only thing about I would say the bad part about the new media to a degree is those things of, when you do it too fast, you still operating in your emotions, and especially when it's just you. You know what I'm saying? If it
you don't
just
have somebody
to you,
ground it,
yeah. So when you got kicked out the game, now you on, and I can argue my point, but I'm mad now. I probably done said something that I probably shouldn't have said, and you know what I'm saying. And now I'm stuck with this thing where I might get suspended for something I said.
Right.
Now, because you want to be the first person to get out here and try to defend yourself. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. What I do like about this new thing is more of you get a chance to see the athlete differently. To a degree, I would love to see what 20-something-year-old MJ would have been like. You know, we speculate that he would have been all professional. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Now that you got Twitter, now that you can say certain stuff, and somebody seen you in another light.
None of y'all better than me.
Like we surprised that
Right after a double nickel in the garden. Can't nobody guard me. I just got back. They still can't guard me.
none of this with me.
Right.
So, I mean, and then you got all those type of things. So, no telling what it would have been. So, I mean, I like the fact that we get a chance to see these athletes, how smart some of them is, how crazy some of them, you know? So, but yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What you got? What you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's you have to consider like the competition aspect of it. So like when I was watching the finals and like Draymond, was having a bad game or bad series.
Yeah.
Like, but then jump on like his podcast and break down the game. I was just like, that's there's something wrong about that. Like, and I can only imagine like his teammates,
Right.
because if that series would have
the other
ended,
way,
the other way with the Celtics winning, I think that could have been a bad look. And but at the same time, I like that current athletes and former athletes are more involved in it because like you get more, I guess you get behind the scenes, you get a different perspective. Like I love like Gilbert Arenas, even though he's off, he's different, but Gilbert, he has a great perspective about the game,
Right.
Yeah.
But it's I think it all progress is always good for anything.
I think, like all y'all said, I enjoy getting the breakdown from somebody at the highest level. You know what I mean? That knows the game in and out. So you get those, athletes doing that. I think that's very entertaining. But I do miss about old media is that kind of, if you miss the game, you gotta turn in the Sports Center. Like now you get it from so many places. You turn on Twitter, and they got NBA is on or NFL. They got social media accounts everywhere. So it's kind of you can't even like back in the day you could record a game. Like I'm not gotta work, can't watch it. I'm gonna tune in to Sports Center and see, or I record the game and watch. There's no way you can hide from the scores now. Your alerts going off. Somebody's telling you because it's so saturated. You know what I mean? Another good point is that it is still space. So it allows us to have a show like this because even though there's a lot of stuff out there, you have different varieties, different concepts, the way it's brought to you. But I do kind of miss sometimes that must-see TV. Like, hey, the game just went off. Let me see what Stewart gonna say. Let me see what Chris Berman gonna say. What jokes are he gonna throw in tonight and different things like that. To Scott Van Pelt's, those people that really excelled at making what can be mundane, highlights, so to speak, entertaining. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great contrast. Brian, I'll ask you also, does the new medium, as far as athletes, does it give you in radio more things to talk about, or does it hurt having those opinions as far as doing your job?
Well, I have the benefit of working with a former athlete in Randy McMichael, so it's awesome, and he's such a down-to-earth guy that like I just try to bounce everything off of him, so he gets to see it from both perspectives of just being a regular guy, regular dad, kind of that sort of thing, but also being an ex-athlete. So for the most part, like, I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy hearing the opinion of the athlete and like what they have to say and what they got. And to your point, they're going to know about the sport more than we are or anybody. Like when you play at that highest level, them breaking down a play or a situation, they're in it. They're in the film room. They're in practice. They're in all that stuff. So you feel like you kind of get a little bit more behind the curtain. And even so more with, a lot of like documentaries and stuff we're getting out. It feels like everybody, like we're on like the 7th Lakers one that just came out. Like Magic's got one, and, somehow Kobe's going to have one. Like Shaq's going to have another one. And so like those are really cool. It's interesting seeing all that too, because now it's new media. It's sort of like athletes telling their story about, LeBron and Wade are doing the thing about the Redeem team.
I'm kind of waiting to see that one too, though.
That's pretty cool. But then part of me is like, all right, what are they not telling me? LeBron and Wade are telling the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the part I don't like, where you feel like you're getting behind the curtain. So when you're talking like X's and O's and plays and on the court and breaking that stuff down, I think that's cool. But it's like, all right, am I getting that real behind the scenes story? Because old media would just be trying to get the story. Where now it's like, all right, cool, I'm hearing from the athlete, but like, what's the story?
Right,
So when
'cause
it's about the game, it's awesome. But when it's like peeling back a few more layers,
Right.
I don't know if I want that necessarily told from the athlete's perspective.
Because a lot of times with that's protecting brands
Yep,
to
exactly.
point a certain narrative. And that's, I think, Jordan caught a lot of flack with that with The Last Dance. Because it's called The Last Dance, but it was basically the Jordan documentary. You call it what you want to, but it was a Jordan documentary. So it seemed kind of skewed. And I think, certain people, other players and stuff had an issue with it. I know like Karl Malone wouldn't even do it. It was like, what you got to say about Michael? He's a player. Like I played against him. It was like I'm not going to help shape this narrative of how great he was. Like he was a great player. So was I. We played against each other. So coming from one perspective, I guess can be dangerous sometime or not useful because obviously LeBron is going to make him and D Wade look fantastic in that documentary.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they had some stuff that didn't look that great. Like him and maybe Coach K. Not seeing eye to eye on stuff, which I've heard rumors of that. So will they address that is the stuff I want to see as well, like beyond the X's and O's. And so I think that's the pros and cons to me too. Like, the play on the field, you can't get better information from them guys. Yeah. There's no way you can. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys still find yourself, because of the combination, you got the X and O part and the protecting my narrative or bloviating about myself, do you feel like sometimes you still disagree with them? You know what I mean? It's hard to say that because like they know the X and O is better than you, but like, I still disagree with your point.
I definitely do.
Yeah?
I mean, I do it because, arguably because of what I always argue about when y'all talk about MJ. Like, it's just a narrative, man, that only me and a few other people.
You know what I feel like every time you bring up MJ?
What?
Irv Gotti on Drink Champs. How did we get back here? Talking about Ashanti. How did we get back here? We're not even talking about him. I was up in the...
I don't care, man. I'm bringing it up, okay?
All right, I got to hear it since I'm here. What's the MJ take or non-take or
Go ahead, Jarvis.
Since we're here.
I'm not going to.
The majority of it's just trolling.
We
go for
okay.
it.
We'll let Brian hear. I'm not even going to argue this. I just want you to give your point.
Okay, you guys are like, I've heard this one 7, 8,
I just
10
feel
times.
like he is Jordan.
Okay.
He is the GOAT. I'm not going to discredit him
There's a
from
butt
that.
coming.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it's definitely him. The butt is that he I just don't think he played the caliber of talent in his position as 2000 and above.
Okay.
2000 up to now. He didn't face that level. That's that in a nutshell.
All right, that's not the craziest thing I've heard from a Jordan perspective.
It's not, but I have an argument to beat it.
No.
But that's not this episode.
So are you like the slightly anti-Jordan guy? Just as far as if someone's got to be kind of in the
it would be him. It would be him.
We can go back. We can get back to the old media, new media thing. When you get back to the MJ Pippen all that conversation, my argument is always, what if Pippen had a Pippen, especially those 2 years that Jordan.
Sheesh.
So
Pippen
that's ammo for you in the non-Jordan conversation. Just think about it. Just think about it.
Yeah.
You guys listening at home, you think about it.
That'll be a good
That's
one.
something to think about.
That'll be a good one. We might need to add that to the number 2 conversation we're going to have.
Yeah.
If all the number 2s had a number 2, how would it turn out then?
That's a great topic.
Yeah,
That's
if
a
all
great
the number
topic.
2s had a number 2.
And by the way, the greatest number 2 of all time.
Oh my God,
It's Kevin Durant.
we don't have time.
But anyway, let's stay on time.
That's a different one.
We got to bring you back, Brian. We got to definitely bring you back.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have you back for that one. We're gonna do a full thing on number 2, top 5s and everything on number 2.
I like that.
On number 2. This week's episode of I Still Got It is sponsored by Hey Tony Designs. If you're starting a new business, hosting an event, or just want to upgrade your company's look, Hey Tony Designs can put you in the game just like EA. Follow Hey Tony Designs at Hey Tony Pope on Instagram for all your graphic and design needs. Now, back to the show. So, Will, as far as the new media versus old media, same question I asked Jarvis, like, do you still like hold your fort down on certain topics, certain takes you got, even if you hear somebody that's considered an expert?
No, I respect, the expert.
Right.
Like even with MJ, like part of my, I guess my opinion or belief that he's the GOAT and there's no change in that, looking at LeBron or Kobe or whoever, is that I've heard players that have played with him that have a different perspective. Like, we're just watching the game, but when you hear Kevin Garnett or Charles Barkley say that, oh, this man is the GOAT. Like, and they played against this dude. Like, they, laced him up, had to actually check him. And I just think, that gives a different perspective, but I mean, at the same time, like, we can have our opinion, but I do feel that, it's just a different level. Like when you have that firsthand experience,
Right. What about you, BG? You work with former athletes. You work with Randy McMichael, Hugh Douglas, guys like that. If you were thinking something, you watched the same game and you had a particular opinion when they come in like, well, nah, because the D lineman did this and that was his assignment. He didn't miss the block or whatever the case may be. Did that ever change your mindset or thought on the game?
Oh yeah, all the time. There's certain stuff where I kind of understand my level of football knowledge.
Right.
Like I coached like a little bit in high school, so
Right.
I have that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I can get by about that much. I could make my way maybe in like a film study or two.
Gotcha.
But like I'm gonna defer to him, or like I like knowing I'm like, hey, in this situation, what happens, and him being a former tight end. The cool part about that is like, all right, he can kind of break down like routes and blocking and all that. And same thing with Hugh, offensive and defensive line. So no, anytime I go in and I'm always like, I'm listening to you.
Gotcha.
Like I have an opinion about it, or hey, I maybe saw this. Did you see that too? Yeah, I saw this, but it was because of this.
Gotcha.
So they're to our point about like expertise and stuff, they always see something we don't see.
Right.
Like Randy saw, we were Georgia-Oregon game, right? You all watched that game, right?
Right.
49-3. It was just
Absolutely.
throttling. Randy was
Fantastic.
like, yeah, the offensive line, they got beat a couple times across the face. Like he was like telling me about how like when like, and I was just like, wow, man, I didn't even see that. I was at the game too, like watching it. So it's and I just always keep an open mind with that. And even if I felt like I knew you still can learn
You still
something.
can learn, right.
Yeah, definitely. That's good.
You hear that, Jarvis?
You can always learn.
You can always change your opinion about it.
That's all right. By the time we get into the next season, he's gonna be full on back on Jordan train. I'm gonna make sure. It's my goal to put him back in place. So that wraps up another episode, man. I still got it. Fantastic show. At the end of every show, we do a They Still Got It Person of the Week. And so I'm gonna keep it in the media sense, and we're gonna give it to Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
For all the reasons we mentioned in an earlier part in the top 5. And then we share a name. So that's all I need. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith, Mr. ESPN himself. Thanks to Brian for coming through. Oh, real quick, Brian, we got some gear for you.
Oh, okay.
Want to present you with some gear?
Oh, hell yeah.
I still got it.
I will always take free swag. That is that's part of the radio life right there, man.
Absolutely. So thanks again for being a part. You're welcome to come back anytime, and we'd love to have you back on.
Yes, sir.
Follow us, like us, share, comment, subscribe on all social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. And we out.